There is a kind of desire that a man will never announce. He may hide it behind jokes, behind silence, behind casual conversations. He may even act as if you mean nothing to him. But desire has a weakness. It leaks, not always through words, but through attention, behavior, timing, and the small things a man does when he thinks you are not watching. If you learn to notice these signs, you will understand something most people miss. A man can hide his intentions, but he cannot completely control his behavior. Machiavelli understood a simple truth about human nature. People reveal themselves through what they repeatedly do, not through what they claim. So, if you want to know whether a man secretly wants intimacy with you, do not listen only to his words. Watch his actions. Sign 1. He creates reasons to stay close to you. A man who secretly desires intimacy will often find small reasons to remain around you. He may not say, "I want to be close to you." Instead, he will create opportunities. Maybe he suddenly has something to ask you. Maybe he offers to help you with something that he could easily ignore. Maybe he stays longer after everyone else has left. The reason itself may be unimportant. The pattern is what matters. A man does not repeatedly spend his time where he feels nothing. Time is one of the most valuable things a person owns. When someone keeps giving you his time, especially without a clear practical reason, his attention is already telling a story. But here is where many women make a mistake. They see one moment and immediately create a conclusion. That is dangerous. One friendly conversation means almost nothing. One compliment means almost nothing. One time staying late means almost nothing. But repeated behavior, that deserves attention. The man who secretly wants intimacy may slowly reduce the distance between you. He sits closer. He looks for private conversations. He chooses moments when other people are not around. He remembers when you will be somewhere. He appears almost by coincidence. And sometimes, the most revealing part is not what he does. It is how quickly he responds when an opportunity for closeness appears. Imagine a man who normally seems busy. Yet whenever you need something, he suddenly has time. That does not prove romantic or sexual desire by itself. But when several signs appear together, the picture becomes harder to ignore. This is the first lesson in reading human behavior. Do not judge the isolated act. Judge the repeated pattern. Sign 2. His attention becomes different around you. A man's eyes can reveal what his mouth is trying to hide. When a man is attracted to a woman, his attention toward her may become unusually focused. He notices details, a small change in your appearance, a different hairstyle, the way you speak, something you mentioned weeks ago, even your mood. He may not openly flirt with you, but he seems strangely aware of you. And this is important. Attraction often creates attention before it creates confession. The mind moves toward what it desires. A man may try to control his words, but controlling attention is much harder. Watch what happens when you enter a room. Does he notice? Does his behavior change? Does he suddenly become more energetic, more nervous, more confident, or strangely quiet? Does he check where you are even while pretending to focus on something else? These reactions are not proof on their own. Human behavior is complicated. A person can be shy, friendly, curious, or simply comfortable around you. But if his attention repeatedly returns to you, something is happening beneath the surface. And here we reach another principle. Interest follows attention. Where a person's attention repeatedly goes, his mind is often already invested. That is why the smartest observer does not chase words. She watches where his attention naturally moves. Because desire may be hidden, attention is much harder to hide. The difference between desire and genuine intimacy. There is another distinction you must understand. A man wanting intimacy does not automatically mean he wants a relationship. Desire can be physical. It can be emotional. It can be both. Some men want closeness because they genuinely value a woman. Others want access without commitment. And some are simply attracted, but have no serious intention behind that attraction. This is why you should never confuse attraction with character. A man can desire you and still be incapable of treating you well. The wise person does not ask only, "Does he want me?" She also asks, what does he want from me? And even more importantly, what is he willing to give in return? That is where psychology becomes more useful than fantasy, because the goal is not to make yourself believe that a man desires you. The goal is to understand what his behavior actually means. In the next part, we will look at more subtle signs, especially the changes in his communication, body language, jealousy, and behavior when another man enters the picture. And those signs can reveal far more than a simple compliment ever could. Sign 3. His communication becomes more personal. A man who secretly wants intimacy often tries to move the conversation from the ordinary to the personal. At first, he may talk about work, daily life, friends, or simple things, but slowly, the questions change. He wants to know what makes you happy, what kind of man attracts you, what you do when you are alone, what you think about relationships, what your past has been like. These questions are not always romantic, but when they become frequent and personal, they show that he is trying to understand the private side of you. And notice something important. A man who wants only ordinary friendship usually does not need to know every detail of your emotional world. But a man who wants greater closeness may become curious about the parts of you that other people do not see. He may also begin sharing his own private thoughts. He tells you things he does not tell everyone. He talks about his fears, his past mistakes, his ambitions, his disappointments, his private desires. This creates something powerful, emotional access. Machiavelli understood that information creates power. The more someone knows about another person's mind, the easier it becomes to understand them. In attraction, this works in another way. When a man starts revealing his private world to you, he may be testing whether you will accept him beyond the surface. He is not simply talking. He is opening a door. But again, do not confuse openness with proof of romantic intention. Some people naturally talk about personal matters. The real clue is selectivity. Does he behave this way with everyone, or is he noticeably more personal with you? That difference matters. If he is private with most people, but unusually open with you, his behavior deserves closer attention. Sign 4. His body language changes around you. The body often speaks before the mind has decided what to say. A man can prepare his words. He can control his messages. He can pretend to be casual, but his body may reveal tension, excitement, or attraction before he realizes it himself. Look at his posture when you are near. Does he turn his body toward you? Does he try to look more confident? Does he adjust his clothes? Does he become more aware of his appearance? Does he maintain eye contact longer than normal? Does he sometimes look at you and then quickly look away when you notice? These can be signs of attraction, but body language must be read carefully. There is no magical gesture that proves a man wants intimacy. Psychology is not a collection of secret codes where one movement gives you the answer. You must look at the entire pattern. For example, suppose a man repeatedly moves closer when you speak. Then he becomes quieter when you make strong eye contact. Then he smiles more around you. Then he becomes unusually aware of his appearance whenever he knows he will see you. One behavior may mean nothing. Together, they may suggest that your presence affects him. And that is the real point. Attraction often creates a change in behavior. The question is not, does he cross his arms? The better question is, does he behave differently with me than he does with everyone else? That comparison gives you much better information. Sign 5. He becomes more curious when other men. Now we reach a more dangerous and revealing sign. Jealousy. When another man enters the conversation, does his behavior change? Perhaps he suddenly asks who that man is. Maybe he remembers the man's name. Maybe he becomes unusually quiet. Maybe he starts asking questions that seem casual, but are actually very specific. Is he your friend? How do you know him? Do you talk often? Are you too close? The words may sound innocent, but sometimes the timing tells the real story. A man who has no emotional interest in you usually has little reason to investigate your romantic possibilities. But a man who secretly wants you may become more alert when he senses competition. Why? Because desire creates a sense of possession even before a relationship exists. This does not mean jealousy is romantic. It is not. Healthy attraction should never become control. A man who becomes aggressive, controlling, threatening, or demanding is not showing a beautiful form of desire. He is showing a problem with boundaries. There is a difference between noticing competition and trying to control your choices. The first may reveal attraction. The second can reveal insecurity or possessiveness. Never confuse the two. The intelligent observer watches without encouraging unhealthy behavior. She simply notices the change. Perhaps he was relaxed before. Then another man starts talking to you. Suddenly his attention increases. His questions become sharper. His humor changes. He tries harder to get your attention. That shift can be meaningful, because people often reveal what matters to them when they feel they might lose access to it. And this leads to one of the oldest truths about human nature. People often value something more clearly when they believe someone else may take it away. But do not use jealousy as a game. Trying to make someone jealous can create confusion, manipulation, and unnecessary drama. If a man is genuinely interested, his actions should eventually become clearer. You should not have to create a battlefield just to discover his intentions. The silent test. There is another way to understand his interest. Stop doing all the work. Do not always start the conversation. Do not always send the first message. Do not constantly create opportunities to meet. Give him some space. Then observe. Does he come toward you? Does he look for you? Does he start conversations? Does he create his own reasons to stay connected? This is not a manipulation tactic. It is simply observation. When you stop pushing the connection forward, you can see whether the other person is capable of moving it forward himself. A man who secretly desires greater intimacy may begin showing more initiative when he feels that your attention is no longer guaranteed. And this is where many people misunderstand attraction. They think constant attention creates desire. Sometimes, constant availability only hides the truth. When you are always there, you cannot tell whether he is choosing you or simply accepting what is being offered. But when you step back naturally, his choices become visible. If he makes an effort to reconnect, that tells you something. If he disappears completely, that also tells you something. Silence can be information, and sometimes it is more honest than words. But remember one rule. Never build an entire story from a single sign. A man looking at you does not prove he wants intimacy. A man texting you does not prove it. A man asking personal questions does not prove it. Even jealousy alone does not prove it. Look for consistency. Look for several behaviors appearing together over time. Most importantly, look at how he treats your boundaries. A man may desire you deeply, but if he respects your choices, your comfort, and your limits, that tells you far more about his character than attraction ever could. Desire tells you what someone wants. Character tells you what they will do with that desire. And that distinction is where the final signs become especially important. Because in part 3, we will examine the strongest clues of all. How he treats private moments with you, how he behaves when emotional closeness increases, and the final sign that separates simple attraction from a deeper desire for intimacy. Sign 6. He looks for private moments with you. One of the strongest signs is not what a man does in front of everyone. It is what he does when there is no audience. A man who secretly wants intimacy may look for moments when the two of you can speak without other people around. He may suggest getting coffee alone. He may stay after everyone leaves. He may find a reason to walk with you. He may turn an ordinary conversation into a longer, more private one. Why does this matter? Because intimacy requires privacy. When a man wants to know you beyond the surface, he may naturally look for situations where the social noise disappears. In a group, he can hide behind jokes and normal conversation. Alone, the truth becomes harder to hide. Watch how he behaves in these moments. Does he become calmer? Does he open up more? Does he maintain stronger eye contact? Does he ask deeper questions? Does he seem interested in understanding your thoughts, rather than simply talking about himself? These details matter. A man who wants only physical access may rush the moment. A man who wants genuine intimacy will usually become interested in the person behind the attraction. This is why you must observe the quality of his attention. Is he interested only when the conversation becomes physical, or does he remain interested when you talk about your dreams, fears, opinions, and everyday life? The difference is enormous. Physical attraction can be immediate. Real intimacy requires investment. The strongest clue: he respects your boundaries. Here is the sign that many people ignore. A man may look at you. He may flirt. He may become jealous. He may search for private moments. But the strongest evidence of healthy desire is how he behaves when you say no. Does he respect it? Does he step back without punishment? Does he remain respectful? Does he allow you to decide the speed of the relationship? Or does he pressure you? Does he become angry? Does he try to make you feel guilty? Does he keep pushing after you have made your position clear? This is where attraction ends and character begins. A man can want intimacy with you and still be a man of discipline. In fact, self-control is often more revealing than desire itself. Anyone can want something. Not everyone can control themselves when they do not get it. Machiavelli's world was built around power, but the deeper lesson is control. The person who cannot control his impulses becomes controlled by them. So when you are trying to understand a man's intentions, do not only watch how strongly he approaches you. Watch how gracefully he responds when you create distance. That reaction can tell you more than 100 romantic words. If he respects your boundary, he shows maturity. If he tries to break it, he shows you that his desire matters more to him than your comfort. And that is not intimacy. That is entitlement. Desire is not the same as commitment. There is one final truth you should remember. A man can secretly desire intimacy with you and still not want a serious relationship. These are two different things. Attraction answers one question: does he want closeness with me? Commitment answers another: is he willing to build something real with me? Never assume the first automatically means the second. A man may think about you constantly. He may want to touch you. He may seek your attention. He may become jealous. He may look for private moments. And yet, he may still have no intention of building a future. That is why the wise woman does not become impressed simply because she is desired. She watches what comes after desire. Does he communicate clearly? Does he keep his promises? Does he show consistency? Does he respect your boundaries? Does he make an effort even when there is nothing physical to gain? Does he care about your feelings? These are the signs that reveal whether attraction has the potential to become something meaningful. Because being wanted is flattering, but being respected is far more valuable. Read the pattern, not the fantasy. So, let us bring everything together. The 6 signs are simple. He creates reasons to stay close. His attention toward you becomes different. His conversations become more personal. His body language changes around you. His behavior shifts when other men appear. And he looks for private moments while respecting your boundaries. None of these signs alone gives you absolute proof. Human beings are too complicated for that. But when several signs appear repeatedly, over time, you can begin to understand the pattern. And patterns are where real psychology begins. Do not become obsessed with decoding every glance. Do not turn every message into a secret confession. Do not create a story because you want the story to be true. Instead, observe. Stay calm. Let his behavior speak. The man who truly wants greater intimacy will eventually have to reveal himself through consistent action. You do not need to chase the truth. You only need to stop ignoring what is already in front of you. Because people can hide their words. They can hide their intentions. They can even hide their emotions for a while. But repeated behavior has a way of exposing the truth. And once you understand that, you stop asking, does he secretly want me? You start asking the more powerful question, what does his behavior tell me about the kind of man he is? That is the question that gives you control. If this video helped you understand male psychology in a deeper way, like the video and subscribe for more lessons on human behavior, attraction, and psychology. And tell me in the comments, which of these 6 signs have you noticed before? Share this video with someone who needs to understand these hidden signals. Until next time, remember, do not listen only to what people say. Watch what they repeatedly do.